Good evening and welcome to Just a Little Bit as we come to you live from Destination Sistrunk, a cultural happening in Broward County. And this week's topics from the West Side Gazette, very interesting. Of course, the passing of two iconic figures, one in C.T. Vivian and the other in Congressman John Robert Lewis. I remember reading a book from John Lewis, and it was about preaching against the storm, where Congressman Lewis talked about how in his younger days when he was growing up, how he taught himself how to preach. Congressman Lewis used to raise chickens, so he used to get his little biddies and put them together in a little box and set it up like a church, and he would actually preach to the biddies. And I remember reading one part of the book where Congressman Lewis said he was in a house and strong winds came by, and as the winds blew, the corners of the house would raise up. One corner would raise up, and he would run over in that corner and preach from that corner. Another corner would raise up, and he would run over there and preach in that corner. Thus, his book, and it's titled Preaching Against the Storm, came about. Also in this week's edition, the census, they are in need of workers. Very serious business is the census, and they're paying anywhere from $15 to $25 an hour. They have yet to reach the numbers that they need to reach. The outreach has been dismal, and they are in need of census takers. Also, I know you guys probably have seen the video on Facebook and other medium about our beloved gubernatorial candidate, Brother Gilliam, who did an appeal, very touching. And then there is, in this week's edition, a letter from an inmate in the Florida State Penal System. The title of this article is called George Floyd's Murder Touches Us All in a Different Way. The brother who wrote this piece is an extremely talented writer. And if you can't stand to read about the everyday happenings in a prison, then I ask you not to read the article. But if you can, please check this brother out. Also in this week's edition, we have back to school happening coming in August at Mount Olive Baptist Church. Again, we're trying to raise and gain things for students who will not be going back into the classrooms, but they will be engaging in educational activities, and they still need things to increase and cause them to use their intellect to explore and to grow. There's also a very interesting article about a young man who once collected garbage to pay for college. He's now being admitted into Harvard Law School. It's amazing how we can do so much with so little. And it's also ironic how some media have played on the issue of violence as it pertains to black folk and trying to, any way they can, necessary to demean the progress that is being made by the protests and the outward stance against police brutality, and the fact that not only does Black lives matter, the whole concept centered around Black life matters. But then again, when we have this institutionalized racism from media sources that only depict or want to portray Blacks as killing each other in alarming rates, it's deplorable. Again, find out what's happening in your community through the West Side Gazette. This is just a little bit. Come back for another segment, 40 on the 40. 40 on the 40 is a 40-second segment about Black history and how we have overcome. And this week's 40 on the 40 is about Esteban the Black. Little Stephen was a Black explorer who led an expedition from New Mexico to the United States, in which they discovered Arizona and New Mexico. And you thought John Beckworth was the only Black explorer. Yes. Welcome back to Just a Little Bit, and it is a pleasure for me to introduce our next guest. This young man is a very prolific writer. He has really written some articles covering the Dolphins, and he's really a character too. So let's give a round of applause for our next guest, Mr. Vincent Jones Jr. Welcome to Just a Little Bit. Introduce yourself, Vince. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I'm Vincent Jones Jr. I'm a rising third-year broadcast journalism student at the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, otherwise known as FAMU. And I'm really just happy to be here. I do love writing. I write on campus. I write in my free time. I help Mr. Henry with writing for the West Side Gazette. I do have a focus with sports, but ultimately my goal is to just uplift people around me and make people feel welcome and at home wherever I go.
Mm-hmm. And so Vincent, tell us a little bit about at least two articles that you have written that you're very proud about.
Well, from a sports standpoint, my favorite article is the article I wrote about Florida Memorial bringing back their football team after over 50 years of just being absent in the world of sports in entirety. So bringing back their football team and me being able to go down there and just be in that atmosphere of something new and fresh, but also having so much history in sports and so many things that they have done for the Black community was very near and dear to my heart. And my second favorite story is actually the one I just did last week on Miss Jada Washington Booth, 12-year-old, worked with NASA, and she's just so bright, and she has so many beautiful things to say about her family, not just herself, didn't say a word about herself, just spoke about her faith in the Lord and what that has done for her family and herself. So I think that's my favorite.
Very good. I also know an inside scoop out that Florida Memorial tried to steal you from FAMU.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. So what are you doing this summer?
This summer I've been really focusing on that faith we were talking about. I've been trying to better my faith and get deeply rooted in the Lord so that I can be better when I do go back to school not too long from now, as well as refining my writing skills. So anything that I can do to make me a better writer, which I feel as if will make me a better person, because I don't write just for my own personal gain. I write to spread the truth, rightful messages, things to make people look at things from a different perspective that can widen or brighten their horizons.
And now, in order to become a better writer, that means you must do a lot of reading. Yes. What have you read lately?
Well, I'm currently reading a book right now called Revolutionary Suicide. That's by Huey P. Newton, the late great Huey P. Newton, and it's a lot about the lengths that you will go for change, and I think that's very pertinent right now in society, given everything that's going on. Black Lives Matter, COVID-19. There's a lot of things that I think people need to really pay attention to as far as change goes, and change doesn't happen overnight. And in order for change to happen in this society, we need to start looking at these changes within ourselves.
Very good. Now, you also mentioned the fact that your spiritual grounding. Now, how are you working on that? And if you could, how can you instruct other young folk to get to that point?
Well, for me, I think I got a little bit away from my prayer life, so now I make it a habit. If before I go to sleep, I pray. When I wake up, I pray. When I'm not really doing anything, I'm praying. So I like to strengthen my relationship with the Lord in that way, and just always having those conversations with Him. This is a very detrimental time. It could be. So one thing I would say to instruct my fellow peers and my family and my friends is that the best way to strengthen your faith is to talk to the Lord. And when times that you don't really want to talk to anybody, that should be the time you be talking to the Lord.
You know, it's amazing, Vince, that you would say that. You're the third young person that we've had to come on the show, and actually, without prompting, they all have said the same thing. So I really want to congratulate you on what you're doing. We wish you much success, and you're absolutely right. In order for you to get up, you got to get down on your knees.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
And God bless you.
Thank you.
Yes. Back to just a little bit. Now, this just a little bit means just a whole lot, and that's because of our history. And during this segment, Sankofa, we have an opportunity, a chance to go back and get some history that we left. So I want to invite to the show right now, Mr. Michael Anthony Truck Peavy. Come on, join us, brother. What's happening, man?
What's happening, brother?
First of all, let me say happy birthday to your truck.
Thank you very much, there, Mr. Henry.
How old are you, man?
Today I am 65 years old. Not the way we normally say it.
Right. I thought you was about to do that,
No,
man.
I'm not going to do it right
You know,
here. No. But when we get outside, I'll express that to you, Mr. Henry.
Very good. Thank you so very much. Now, let me ask you a question before we get started. How did you get the name Truck?
Well, most of the people who I've explained that to, how I got that name Truck, they're not around anymore. Yeah, because, back in those days, I was pretty rough.
Okay.
So
We're going to leave it at that?
So we should leave that alone. You understand, man? Just a few, not actually bodies, but it's a few people just laying around.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay, for those of y'all who might not know Mr. Anthony Peavy, Truck is a staple in this neighborhood. He's been around, like you say, for 65 years. Truck, what was your profession?
I was a professional firefighter with the city of Fort Lauderdale, the city of Fort Lauderdale. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how was it being a black firefighter with the racist Fort Lauderdale? I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, actually, when I first started, it was pretty rough, Bob.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They would say the N-word like it was just like tossing it out of there. And it went from being a blue-collar job to a white-collar job. And they actually did that to weed us out. During my career, I did several jobs. At the end of my career, I ended up doing the recruiting, which allowed me the opportunity to try to bring more folk in that looked like us. It worked somewhat, but it's still a lot of work to be done.
Mr. Peavy, in all honesty, I can remember several Christmases, you and I and some other brothers,
Yes.
we used to go out and get toys. Tell us a little bit about that, man.
Yeah, that was fun though, Bob.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, we would collect the toys for the city of Fort Lauderdale, West Side Gazette, and I would always make sure that toys got distributed in the Northwest section. And you were very instrumental, you know what I'm saying? That was during the time we was having a few libations. But
Yes, sir. but in that truck, now those other people, they had the good toys, and we would go in
and we made sure, because we would get toys from Toys R Us that was on Federal Highway, and I would make sure that West Side Gazette had some of those good toys. So they didn't get all the good toys, Bobby.
No,
We got a few.
You got a few of them.
Yeah, we got a few. Sometimes we had to, go around the back and bring them out, but we did what we had to do, Bobby.
And Chuck, that's another thing, doing what we had to do. Now, you came up from around this neighborhood.
Yes,
How
I
was
did.
it when you came up on the side by the park over there?
Well, it was a
And
family.
what park was that, man?
That was Sunland Park.
Thank you very much.
I don't know anything about Carter Park. I mean, it was Sunland Park, and going around Sunland Park, we had guys that you was not much older than you, but you respected those guys. I just want to call out a few names.
Go ahead.
That people might relate to. Tyrone Freeman,
Tyrone Freeman.
Bobby DeBose, not the Bobby DeBose
Representative.
his daddy.
Yes.
We called him Skag.
Okay.
And those guys like that was guys that kept me out of trouble. Yeah.
Let's do this, Chuck. Let's call some nicknames out. Honey Bun,
Honey Bun, Bun, Hot Popper,
Hot Popper, Nana Head.
Wine.
Oh, man. You got me. Skip.
Talking about Colored Davis?
Come on, man.
Oh, not Butterbean.
See,
We had names that we can go way back.
way
Bob.
back, way back.
You know.
What's some of your fondest moments about Sunland Park? Speaking before you say something, giving honor to Matt Sanders.
Mr.
Yeah,
Sanders.
yeah.
Mr. Sanders raised us on Sunland Park. And it really touches my heart that Mr. Sanders no longer with us.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Sanders taught, I say each and every one of something.
Something.
We brought something out. Can I go back one time, Bob, for just a second?
Go ahead.
When we was doing the Showmobile,
Yes.
me, you, Matt Sanders,
Come on, man.
doing the Sis Trunk Festival.
Come on, man.
You understand what I mean? We made a lot of money, but we had a lot of fun.
Had a lot of fun.
You understand? And Mr.
Culture.
Sanders would always make sure that the group stayed together,
together.
and we got the job done. Those are things I remember about Mr. Sanders. Mr. Sanders would come and get me as a kid, and he would say to me, Spanky Brown, Earl Williams, who is called Black Jew.
Earl.
And he'd say, hey man, look at here. They are giving away trophies over at Walker Elementary. He wouldn't tell us they go win those trophies. He said they're giving away trophies. And we'd get our little group together, Craig Jenkins, a couple more guys, and we'd go over there and we would win the trophies. And at one point, I never forget, Mr. Wilson, John Wilson.
John Wilson, another one.
He wouldn't give us our trophies because he said that we wasn't playing fast. We didn't even have a coach. Because Mr. Sanders used to be down at the country club.
Yeah. A club with the upbeat.
And
The down.
And we would go down. So after he wouldn't give us our trophies, we went to the country club and let Mr. Sanders know. And he put us in his car. And when he told Mr. Wilson, now my boys won those trophies, and they need to have them. So he gave them to us. But those were some of the stories I remember about Mr. Sanders because he was a stand-up guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
the deals.
Mr. Deal. Talking about David Deal. Spies Willie's father.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great man. Mr. Deal, they named David Deal Play Day after him. I remember my first play day was in the 60s.
Play day, for those who don't know, was like an Olympic games for city parks.
For all the parks to get together and compete. Over the years, once folk that don't look like us got involved in it, it changed. We competed against Norfolk, Walker. It was for the younger kids that was in elementary school, play day was designed. And then they had the bigger kids that competed on that level. But now it's not that way anymore. The little kids don't get a chance to enjoy play day like we did when we was coming up. Bubble gum blowing. Some people can remember eating all the watermelon at the park. I know young ladies, I don't want to call no names, but you know, having the watermelon eating contests and things of that nature. But then they had Mr. Dukes that had the baseball team. And he had the Pee Wee League, the Knee High League, and the Jackie Robinson League. And that man he taught us no more, not sports, but he taught us how to dress. You couldn't play for Mr. Dukes if you came into the dugout with your hat turned backwards, your hat wasn't properly placed on your head. And if you had dirty socks or dirty clothes, he would tell you, look, son, you got to wash my uniform. And if you couldn't afford to do it, he would make sure it get washed. So he taught you that you had to look good in order to play. You might not have been the best player on the team, but you look good.
You look good.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, those were some days, Truck, where families and community meant something. What was one of your fondest memories, man, about play day? One that just
stick out.
Yeah.
I don't know, should I tell that story though, Bob?
That didn't involve nobody in this room, right?
No, I didn't involve nobody in this room. We ain't gonna talk about nobody in this room, Bobby. But my fondest memories of play day, man, was the trophies.
Yes.
And Pepsi Cola used to sponsor play day. And you could drink all the Pepsi Cola that you could consume, and it was free.
Free.
See, everything's got to be where it costs the kids now to enjoy themselves. But when I came up, Pepsi Cola sponsored it. Mad Hatter was your DJ.
Mad Hatter.
You know what I mean? And you went to the park and you competed for trophies. And them boys, you know, they had their mama didn't really have to buy no furniture because they won all the trophies from the park. So their whole house was filled with trophies.
We have families like that.
So
man.
you try to compete with the boys doing play days so you can have you a few trophies at your house when folks came over. So that was my memory, man. Just competing and getting a trophy. That one trophy meant a lot, and there was no higher than that, Nadine. You remember, and that was something that you could. As a matter of fact, I got some somewhere around my house now.
Okay.
And at least one.
All right, now, Sunland Park was synonymous with swimming.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So how did you learn how to swim?
Well, they had this guy named Buddy Wilcox
Mr. Wilcox.
and Mr. Kamadi.
Mr. Kamadi.
And they would, your parents would send you out to swimming lessons. So you're a little kid, you think, these are people going to protect you, and they're going to teach you how to swim.
Mm-hmm.
But they would throw you in that well, which was 11 feet, and see what you're going to come back surface to the top. So you either sunk how you swam.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the people who went out there really learned how to swim. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I don't know nobody who died out there.
Me either. I don't know any either.
So that was so if you went to Sunland Park, it was a must that you know how to swim.
Yeah.
Or you couldn't go to the pool on recreation time.
That's right. If you could rewind history and bring something back, what would that be, Mr. Peavy?
Bob, I'll be honest with you, I'm happy the way it is. I mean, I don't want to rewind history for me because the things that I did when I was young, I did them and I enjoyed it. You understand what I mean? But you know, sometimes you say rewind history. I mean, it could be taking a whole lot of stuff. But if I could just rewind it for a second, under the tree at the park, just one more time, with all the boys.
All the boys.
You understand what I
What do
mean?
you mean when you first come into the park?
When you
To the
first
right
come in the
there?
Sunland Park, to the right.
To the right. I think there were a lot of trucks with a bunch of, because you deserve what each individual should endure regularly on the back of their trucks and some Miller High.
Yeah, it was always a cooler on the back of that truck.
Yes.
Yeah, and it had some libation. We're going to say libations.
So that would be a moment
A moment.
to bring the boys
And
back.
bring the boys back. That would be good. I think I would really enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? But some of my boys still around now.
Yeah.
And we still enjoy those moments.
Yeah. Mr. Peavy, Truck, on your birthday, man, may God bless you and give you many, many more. I love you, man, and I want to see you back here again to talk some more.
And I love you more, Bobby.
All right.
And man, we've been around each other since we were knee-high to
to a
duck.
duck.
You understand me?
Yes,
You know
sir.
what? And ain't nothing you can do about it.
Nothing I can do about it. Nothing I want to do about it. Thank you, Truck.
All right, sir.
Yes, sir. Just a little bit. Welcome back. This segment is titled, What's Up? And it's an opportunity for us to discuss things in the community. And on today's show, we have Miss Brandy Gray, a phenomenal historian to teaching Black history to young folk. Come on up, Brandy. How are you?
I'm good.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. What you got going on? Tell us who you are. Some of your family, girl. Who your family?
Oh, my family, my family.
Who are you?
I am the granddaughter of Otis Gray Jr. That is my mother's grandfather. So I have grown up with that whole gray thing hanging over me everywhere I go.
Great coach. Great
Who your
coach.
people them? Yes, Otis Gray is my mother's father, yes.
Okay. Now who are you?
So I am Brandy's mother, wife, sister, daughter, friend, teacher, learner, student. I'm all of those things, but yet not who I will be. I am the founder of Village Life Florida Incorporated. It's a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to teach our children the history and culture that they do not receive in the school systems.
Wow, are you kidding me? These kids are not getting history and culture.
They getting it. They getting it in a way that's watered down.
Okay.
In a way that excludes them.
Okay.
In a way that is not told from a perspective that serves them. And we fix that.
Okay.
We fix that as best as we can.
You know, I've seen you, Brandy. I've seen you in action. You know, I mean, you are a phenomenal woman. Let me say that. You know what you're doing when not. And I'm only speaking in the bounds of educating our children to our culture. What are you doing now? What's happening? What's going on?
Well, with COVID and everything, I have been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to partner with the City of Fort Lauderdale Parks and Recreations. So I've been doing summer program there. Specifically, this week I've been at Riverland. And what I've been doing is our program called Our Story. And what that means is that instead of telling his story, we tell our story. And we do it in a way that says that our story does not begin with slavery. So we take away that idea because very often that is where Black history is introduced to our youth, is at the start of slavery. I do my best to explain to our children the richness of the continent of Africa and why it was invaded in the way that it was, why people showed up in order to take what didn't belong to them, not just the things, but the people. So I explain it to them in a contextual way that helps them to understand where we are today, in a holistic way.
Okay, excuse me. I saw some pictures from some of the activities, and I could see the talent, and I could actually see these kids beaming with pride. How do you do that? What is it that makes them do that? How do you do that?
It's not anything that I'm doing. It's the information. I tell people all the time that if you put someone in the picture, they will look for themselves. They will be interested. The very first time that you take a picture and someone shows you the picture, who are you going to look for? Amongst the crowd, you look for yourself. And when you show them themselves, they're interested. They want to know. It's not anything that I'm doing specifically. It's the fact that they see themselves in the information. They see themselves in what's happening, and they want to know because no one's ever told them.
If I'm not mistaken, I do remember seeing a production that you put together.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
That is our story. That's our annual fashion show and cultural expo that your lovely granddaughters have participated in each year. And we have so much fun with it. We call it a fashion show, but it's so much more than a fashion show. We take history, we mix it with clothing, fashion, we mix it with lifestyle, we infuse some poetry, and it just turns out beautiful every single time. And what happens is that it's not just children reading or reciting something, but they're actually acting it out. They're actually portraying particular individuals from ancient kings and queens to prominent Black first. We've had an Olympian scene where they portrayed these particular people. So we have students that have participated, and they can still tell you their monologues of the people that they represented or who it is that they were, because we don't just give them the character. It has to connect to them. It has to resonate with them. It's something that they have to be interested in, and they love it. We have so much fun with it.
Well, that just made me think a little bit. Maybe our 40 on the 40 should be having a kid come in and do the 40 on the 40.
Let's do
just
it.
An idea. That's just an idea.
Listen, if I can help it anyway.
And I appreciate that. I also appreciate, Brandy, the fact that you stand up for what you believe in. And that means a lot. I know when I first, that means a lot. And I embrace that.
Thank you.
Okay, what is it? Let me see. Have you thought about trying to infuse your curriculum into the public school thing? Have you tried that? Have you thought about that?
So actually, I haven't, simply because what I'm doing right now is a goal. My goal is to assist us in building our own, right? The public school system is necessary. Gotcha. Not everyone is able to afford a private school education. However, it's extremely important to me that I walk the path of us blazing our own trails. That's important to me. And as the operations director at New Okebelon STEM Education Center in the city of Lauderhill, I assist in doing that daily.
Back that up. Say that again. I want you to say that again.
Okay, so it is a private learning facility called New Okebelon STEM Education Center in the city of Lauderhill. It's an African-centered learning space. We're a private school. We're going into our second year in that location. And what we do is we're a project-based school, and we infuse history, culture, as well as project-based learning into one. So, for example, we did 3 different projects last year. Our first one was called Got Drive, right? And our students actually built an electric car
Your
from
students,
start to
how old are
finish.
these students?
Our students range in age from kindergarten to 8th grade,
Okay.
and everyone played a
And they
part.
built an electric car.
Yes, they built an electric car from scratch. We had an electrician that came in from the community to assist. We had a welder that came in to assist us in building it. They actually went through the plans, and it was made out of PVC piping, so they measured and cut the PVC piping. We paired physics with it, and they learned terms, like acceleration and speed, and they learned those formulas. Then we coupled psychology on top of it, because it's not just about physical drive of a car, but our internal drive, right? What drives us? What makes us go? What makes us accelerate? So we layer all of these things together so that they can see things from a real world perspective and in a real view. So acceleration isn't just about a car. When you hear the word acceleration, now you're thinking about yourself. Oh, what's gonna make me go? What's gonna make me move? What causes me to brake? What causes me to slow down? And I had to become an adult sometime before I was able to say, what's triggering me? What's making me do these things? What can I do to maybe consider doing things differently? But our children are getting that as early as kindergarten.
Okay. I want to back up, digress for a moment, and say I apologize for insulting you by going into the public school setting. What you're doing is something that we need. Don't sell that short. Continue to do it. Continue to teach our babies. Continue to allow them to expand far past their horizon from what they're doing. Actually, like I said, I can soon learn to do it if you let me see it done. I can watch your hands in motion, but your tongue too fast may run. And you're living that. And Brandy, I want to say thank you, and please come back again, and let's get those students involved with the 40 on the 40 and whatever else we can do.
Absolutely.
Thank
you
you.
so much. Mr.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show for today, and I want to say thank you to those who joined us. I want to say thank you to our guests, all of them, Vincent Jones Jr., Mr. Truck Peavy, Miss Brandy Gray, and who am I missing? Oh, to the Sis Trunk, Destination Sis Trunk Welcome Center. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this. Join us next week as we continue just a little bit. Thank you.